Hey, and welcome back. Today we're focusing on the topic of discussions in your DE class. And in short, we should say that discussions are a true core or foundation of your LTCC DE course. All courses need to have discussions of some form. But you might ask, why is that the case? Why do we stress discussions so much? So there's a lot of information coming out from both pedagogical theory as well as state policy that says we need to make major improvements in our DE classes such that we increase the interaction between student and of course us, between instructor or faculty and student. I share with you this paper from the Academic Senate for California Community Colleges, and they very importantly wrote in 2019 this article, Title V in Distance Education, Is Separate Course Review Enough? And the concern that they identify in this particular position paper is really talking about this, providing regular and effective contact. And so regular and effective contact means it's happening at set times during the quarter, during the term of the class, and that it's also effective. So by effective contact, we mean you're reaching out in an individual way with your students. You might do this one-on-one with some of your grading techniques. You might have conversations in inbox, and many of the other blocks will focus on additional forms of effective instructor contact. This particular block focuses on discussions because we feel like it's super significant to the success of your high-quality DE class. There are so many cases within the state Title V Education Code law that talks about the quality of DE courses, the establishment of specific standards, again, regular and effective contact. And one of the key things about a DE class is it's not a correspondence class. Students can't just pop in when they want. The textbook cannot be optional readings. There can't be just self-paced instruction such that the students work on their own, but the instructor isn't contacting those students. So it's really a much higher standard, and this is mandated in the state law, the law of California. So what we want to suggest here is there are some effective opportunities for you to use your discussions in Canvas to ensure that you have contact with your students that is truly effective and high quality. So real quick, I can actually jump to one of my Canvas sites here, and this is my Promise Success class, and these will have limited discussions only because they're actually in-person classes, and some people of course will create classes that have supplemental materials on the Canvas shell. I can make this a little bigger for you. And if you haven't done a discussion yet, we certainly can have some trainings on this. It's very easy to set up a discussion. You simply go to Add Discussion. So it's really easy to set up a discussion if you haven't done this before. We would go to the Discussions tab. If that's grayed out, of course, you'd want to have that as an active tab. Go into Add Discussion, and right here there's a Settings button, and this allows you to set different requirements on marking posts, or rather to set different options on marking posts, to allow students to edit and delete their own posts, attach files, and create discussion topics. And those settings are entirely up to you. That's more of a personal matter of how you like to lead your class or run your class. So I could set a discussion up here, and I could call it Week 1 Discussion. Or if I'm doing it more thematically, I could call it something like Cultural Relativism topic, which is a key topic in one of my disciplines, which is anthropology. So you would just have a heading for that, and then you would type in the information about this. What I typically do is I will often have very general information at the top, and then say for each week I'm going to give you more specific topics or questions to choose from. Once you do that, you set some additional options down here, and then you have an available from until date like you do on your assignments. You hit save, and then save, and eventually you want to publish that. It'll also appear in your modules if you add it to your modules, and then you're ready to go. And what's really key about a discussion is that it's an interactive way for students to participate with you. As I'm going to say in my next few slides here in terms of quality issues, it is so important for you to be an active part of your discussion. You're the discipline expert. If you're not facilitating conversation with your students, you're really not doing your job in terms of offering what you need to be offering as an instructor. And I'm being very direct in saying that because we've had significant issues across the state with the quality of DE instruction where instructors often are taking weeks off from their class and they're not engaging with their students. We cannot continue to do that. We can't continue to do that at Lake Tahoe Community College. So to jump back, so once you have your discussion set up in Canvas and you're ready to go, and we'll do some trainings on that for you if you need them, remember that you need to be an active part in your class discussions. Discussions between students are not effective if they're just between the students. Effective DE classes require a facilitator or you really the discipline expert. That's the reason you're hired to teach. If you're just watching from afar, it's not to say you can't grade those discussions. It's not to say that as an anthropologist, if I have a discussion board on an anthropological topic and I'm sitting there and grading that, I'm actually doing, a big part of my job. I'm doing the grading part. But because I'm not engaging in the classroom, the metaphor, this would be akin to saying, I'm just going to grade my student work. I'm going to have my students meet in a face-to-face class here on campus, and then I'm going to give them some discussion questions to look at. I'm going to leave class for 2 hours. I'm going to collect it at the end of class, and then I'm going to grade at home. Well, great. You've done your grading at home, you've done your grading part, but the facilitation part, which is part of the reason we're hired to be experts in our disciplines, wasn't done at all. So take that same analogy and then just apply it to DE. The problem is we have a mindset in DE thinking that because there's the distance asynchronous format, somehow it's not incumbent on us to be actively engaged in the discussion board. So again, to reiterate, you have to play a super active role in all your discussion boards. That's the second point. The first point is you do need to have discussion boards because discussion boards are a key opportunity to increase student-to-student contact in your class. If you don't have a discussion board, it's going to be really hard to do that through other assignment formats. They're just not geared to do the interactive things that discussions are geared to do. So remember that discussions are a core foundation in terms of providing effective student-to-student contact and instructor presence. So student-to-student, which is a requirement of our online rubrics, it says we have to make sure that students are engaging with one another as part of their classroom experience. Secondly, the presence of the instructor has to be taking place. But certainly in our discussion format, you have to be engaged as an instructor because it's your opportunity to really shine and share your discipline content and expertise. And it's also a leadership issue and really a mentoring issue. If you're not there, you're sending a message to your students that you're kind of not present in your class. You really do need to be there as part of that mentoring and apprenticeship and professionalism that we expect all our instructors to be engaging in their DE classes. So at this point, you can continue to your next block.